right. So we are now transitioning, and it's a real pleasure to be able to introduce Carolina Scheinfeld with the Office of Immigrant Youth. She is the chief of the Office of Immigrant Youth, and Abdillahi from the California Department of Social Services also. They will be presenting, their title of the presentation is Supporting Afghan and Ukrainian Newcomers. And please join me in welcoming these esteemed guests.
Good morning. Thank you so much. Okay, thank you. So great to be here and to see you in person. Good morning, everybody. I'm gonna move my water here if I can. I'm Carolina Scheinfeld. I'm the branch chief at the Office of Immigrant Youth, and I'm here joined by our state refugee coordinator, Abdillahi, friend and colleague for many years, and a mentor of mine as well. First, I want to start by thanking Public Health Institute, Dr. Marta, thank you for introducing us, Melange for that very, very moving opening. It's very hard to follow. I'm still processing and will continue to process some of the reflections you share with us. Dr. Sadiq, and the whole team at the Center for Immigrant and Refugee Health for this magnificent effort in bringing us together here for today's convening. I want to try to invoke the superpowers in this room and all the heroes that are here, as Melange mentioned, and share with you how deeply grateful we are on how you've come up and showed up to serve newcomer communities. The Department of Social Services, the California Department of Social Services, serves, protects, and supports people in California experiencing need. That's part of our mission, and we have an Office of Equity within which the Office of Immigrant Youth and also the Immigrant Integration Branch, that is where Abdi sits in, is addressing all those disparities or trying to address all those disparities and remove barriers for different communities. California has welcomed Afghans for many decades, and here on the slide, like you're going to see some numbers since 2021. However, we've been at the receiving end of Afghan communities before 2021. In 2021, we were part of the national response after the evacuation of the U.S. Armed Forces in Afghanistan, and that meant being part of what was known as Operations Allies Welcome, where dozens and thousands of Afghans lived their country. Through a huge effort with different federal government agencies and states involved, California being one of them, we partner with them to be responsive to that. In addition, so this was during the summer of 2021, like that wasn't enough of what was happening in the world. In February of 2022, we saw the beginning of the war in Ukraine, which is still ongoing. So we've continue to see, an increase in arrivals from Ukraine and also from Afghanistan, not just the ones that had arrived back then, others that also went to different states and came here, and others that went to different countries and continue to come here, following also family members. Since we are here, we also wanted to take a little bit of an opportunity to talk about like how the state has been responding and like what part of the opportunity that the federal government has given us with funding that has gone to communities to respond to these arrivals. But during that time, it was also the creation of our office. So we came together then at a time that we needed to look for partners, at the time that we were hearing from you, from schools, from community-based organizations. It's like, we're ready, we're mobilizing volunteers, we're mobilizing school personnel, but we don't have funding. And we were still waiting at that time, and then the funding arrived. So that's been great. With, at the same time that our office was starting, so I wanted to share, where do we come from, sorry. And with the idea of having within the state one space dedicated to serve immigrant, refugee children and families, we are very, very focused on creating that sense of belonging that some of these kids are trying to seek. The children's anthem spoke highly about part of our mission, that is like, how do we give voice to the youth? How do we help them in that journey in search of new life? In this train of life. So thank you for sharing that at the beginning, at the opening today. Some of our programs include Refugee School Impact, and we work with many of you even before the creation of the Office of Immigrant Youth, and also the Youth Mentoring Program, with some special appropriations that the government has dedicated, and supplemental appropriations we've been able to develop and co-design with many of you, the Afghan Youth Mentoring, Afghan Refugee School Impact, and now, most recently, the Afghan Refugee School Impact Support to Schools, and the Ukrainian Refugee School Impact. We have also other programs within the state that we're responsible for. One of them is the Unaccompanied Refugee Minors. It's a federal foster care program, of which many Afghan youth have been able to be part of, given that they don't have a possibility of reunification yet, or they are expecting a possibility of reunification. So, and then we have two special initiatives dedicated to a very different population, that it's unaccompanied minors. So unaccompanied undocumented minors, or unaccompanied children, as you often hear about. It's also one of the newcomer populations that our office works with. And that all being part of the response that the state has continued to innovate, to try to be present and provide supportive services to new communities arriving. We could not do these programs without our community partners. So we work very closely with numerous community partners in the process of ideating and co-designing meaningful programs that are both trauma-informed and also client-centered, in addition to linguistically responsive and culturally informed. So we started working first with the University of California in San Diego, with the Center for Community Health. So grateful for what they've been building so far and how they are leaving behind with these special funds, with their growing community resources, and leaving behind new initiatives and new organizations that before did not exist. They have led a magnificent effort through regional leads, and they have empowered not just the communities, but have helped us in our mission of creating a network of care for newcomers. Another partner without whom we wouldn't be here is a Public Health Institute, and they were later on selected to implement the RC Support to Schools program and the Ukrainian Refugee School Impact. And they have come with a lot of experience building coalitions and addressing health and well-being disparities. Some of them, just to name a few, it's like the Sahad Initiative, the Lotus Project, Safely Opening Schools, and many others. And also I wanted to mention, they've been partnering also with the California Department of Public Health to support the Afghan Refugee Mental Health Project in collaboration with many community-based organizations. In federal fiscal year 2022, OR allocated supplemental funds for Afghans and also for Ukrainian newcomers. And these funds have been allowing to support service for newly arrived youth and families from Afghanistan and Ukraine. These newer programs, if I can call them newer, have the purpose of supporting academic performance of young Afghan and Ukrainian newcomers, and also the strive for the successful integration of these children, youth, and their families into communities. Some of the components of this program include providing connections for basic needs support, promoting family engagement and empowerment, youth engagement and development, and of course, school enrollment support. It is interesting that this funding, now it's available, while I remember back in the summer of 2021, how many of the schools were trying to find solutions to things like, how do I get a family that doesn't have a car, doesn't know to ride a bus, to come to my school and enroll their kids, and know that they will be safe, that their daughters will be safe in my school. So we saw also many of these Afghan families at the time of arrival, they were staying in hotels that were very remote, because these were the hotels that were available, that had kitchens, that had space enough for large Afghan families. And we saw how schools, how community-based organizations, many of you in this room were part of conversations of task forces that were trying to bring new solutions. I heard teachers driving buses because the bus line in Santa Clarita did not get to the hotel where these families were living. I heard of social workers or school personnel taking their iPads, going to these hotels, sitting with the families to try to enroll. I heard of many female teachers meeting with moms after hours, after putting their kids in bed, to try to explain to them how the schools are at the center of the community and how the schools are here to help. So I will not take that for granted, and knowing that this funding now in 2024 is here, I want to make sure that we continue to learn and we continue to innovate together. To showcase some of the work that you've been doing, I brought some figures only from federal fiscal year 2023, so this is just from October 2022 until the end of September of 2023. So, but acknowledging also that before these appropriations, many of you were already serving Afghan and some Ukrainian newcomers. In federal fiscal year 2023, these programs provided services to almost 7,000 Afghan youth participants and to almost 3,000 Afghan parents. Ukrainian students and parents served in 2023 with RSI is still very low because most of the arrivals have been happening later, and we look forward to seeing how the Ukrainian refugee school impact will look like in a year from now. Our work continues, and without each of you in this room today, this would not be possible. So a lot of gratitude. Welcome, salam, and lashkabo prosemo, if I pronounce that right, to today's event. With this, I'm going to pass it to my colleague and the brilliant State Refugee Coordinator of California, Abdillahi. Thank you.
Thank you, Carolina. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Good morning, everyone. So my name is Abdillahi. I am the State Refugee Coordinator, also the Refugee Programs Bureau Chief. So thank you, Carolina. As Carolina and I worked for many, many years, and also right now we are at the state working together, serving the same population. So let me just take you back a little bit about, I only have probably about 5 minutes, and I wanted to just give you some updates and some programs. Let me take you back to probably 2009 or 2008. The California refugee population landscape has been changed. And I think those of you who are here and has worked for many, many years with the refugees, immigrants and refugee overall, or some agencies or any other organizations, in 2009 all the way to 2015, probably 2015, as you all know, the Iraqi were the majority population who are arriving in California. As you all know, San Diego, in California, for example, the San Diego region right now is El Cajon City, in that area. I think estimated about 30 to 40,000 Iraqis arrived in that region. Then going to 2015, 2016, 17, the Syrians have started. And then you got 2019 and 18 and 2021, the Afghan population had arrived. So population has been changed for the last 2 decades, probably about the last 25 years, and will continue to do so. But for right now, I think the Afghans are still the majority of the refugees who are coming into California, in addition to the Ukrainian. That's why I have this. We have so many other programs, but I just want to emphasize what we do for the Afghan community and the Afghans and the Ukrainians. So back in 2021, for those of you who know, there was the Afghan evacuation, caused a lot of challenges into the California. There are a lot of them, families, thousands were staying in the hotels. Housing challenge, as you all know, is the biggest, the number one challenge in California, and then we say right now at this state. Back in 2021, the federal government will receive so much funding to administer that, and to do something about the challenge. So on that respect, California has started a housing program. Some of you probably are aware of it. It's called the AC program, which is the Afghan Support Investment Program, which provides housing. Some of you might remember there was a lot of families who were staying in the hotels, and the state provided millions and millions of dollars to those families so they become self-sufficient. And with that, the program was so successful, and up to probably about 9,000 families has been provided service. And I think that's one of the greatest. Yes, we have so many other programs, and we don't only provide for the Afghans, but also have other populations. But I think that single program, the ACE program, and thank you to my leadership and our leadership team at CDS, and I can see Eliana is sitting here at the time, and now she's our director. So thanks for making that decisions. I think that is the number one, probably, programs that we are so proud of. So then 2024, going to 2023, 24. So we know still the housing is the challenge. So because of that reason, because we have so many success in that program, we relaunched it. Some of you might know the ACE program again. We invested so much money, and I think stayed millions of dollars. And the Catholic Charities of San Diego are the one who's providing that statewide housing. We relaunched that housing program as of July 1st, 2024. And then let me take you back 6 months earlier. Then the Ukrainians also were coming in. And as you all remember, the Ukrainians, they did not come as refugees. They did not come through reception and placement. They did not come through resettlement agencies. They came through some kind of sponsorship program. So, and then we saw there's gonna be a lot of challenge, and still the housing was still the number one challenge. Then we created another housing program for the Ukrainians back in January 2024. So all these details, if you want to know exactly the details about how and who's eligible and how much we are providing, you can go to our website, the CDS Refugee Programs Bureau, and you will find more details about the housing program. But I just want to emphasize those two programs. Those two are probably, it's not going to be enough. It's not going to be the end of the program. Housing is still going to be the number one issue. Are we going to be solving the housing? No, I'm not here to tell you that we solved the housing issue, but at least something's better. So at least we provide those who need it and the most majority. Again, the population might change in the future. Like I say, I think who knows? The next couple of years, maybe 3 years, maybe you will see another different population coming to California. Maybe you're going to see the Cuban Asians population. Or maybe you see other populations. Maybe from refugees from Africa or from Syria or from Iraq again. So, but for right now, I think those two are the. So let me just go back to 2024. I think Carolina mentioned about the numbers. California has started about close to about 15,000 refugees for this year. 15,000. Just imagine, out of that 15,000, about 11,000 are Afghans. And majority of the Afghan right now is concentrated in Sacramento area. Sacramento is the #1 single resettlement site in the nation when it comes to Afghani. Again, that's only the reception and placement. Those of you who know about the reception, those refugees who are coming or SIV coming from overseas. I'm not even including other population. I'm not including the secondary immigration. I'm not including those refugees or those Afghans who resettled originally in another states and then moving to California because they have some kind of tie or they have some family or friends live here. So the landscape is changing. And I think that's where we are right now. Housing will be the #1. Who knows what's going to happen in the next couple, 3 years? Maybe the housing solution, maybe somebody will resolve that issue. But, that's what we are. Then I want to speak about, I only have a couple minutes, then the Afghan Community Support ACS, and then the Afghan Arrivals, Job Readiness, AHR, or Ukrainian Support Services. Those 3 programs that I mentioned here, they're all similar. I think if I go, for example, let me just mention about the Afghan Arrivals, Job Readiness. It is a program eligible for newcomers with hands-on related training, meaning specifically those who are high-tech or maybe who have degrees back home, just to make sure that the career pathways, that program is still happening, and Upworld Global is the one who is providing. Then we have the Afghan Integration and Resettlement Areas program here. We probably funded we used about $10 million, and we funded about 13 nonprofit organizations throughout the state. That program is still happening. And then we have the Afghan Community Support Center, ACS. Again, this is the same program. Again, we invested about $10 million. And the program is to provide case management service to eligible newcomers for the Afghans. And then we invested about $10 million to provide about 16 different nonprofit organizations throughout the state. And lastly, we also have the USS, the Ukrainian Support Services Program. That is also, we spent about $3 million. They're similar to exactly the other with Ukrainian, and to provide case management. But also we provide 3 nonprofit organizations. Now, what is next? Lastly, I'm gonna mention about the Afghan support centers. So this is not the final. Those of you who are remember, and I think what is coming, that's the reason why I say what is coming, what is next. We are negotiating with the one of the federal partners to provide the Cherokee Federal, those of you who might be remember back in San Diego back in 2022 and 21, I think that was 2022 when they started. They have the Afghan Welcome Center in LA, then they started in San Diego, then they have one in Sacramento, and I think April of this year, they also done one in Orange County. Overall, they have done 28 nationwide, but those programs and those were strictly with the federal government. It was sponsored by the UCS. Now, in California is always trying to do its own things. So we decided to do a California-sponsored welcoming center using the federal money. So the Cherokee Federal, since they are the expert, we are trying to negotiate right now, having some kind of contact with them. And hopefully, I think the plan was to do these services for probably the last 4 or 5 months. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. But we are planning to do that one in Sacramento, one in San Diego, and one in the Bay Area. So those of you who are coming from Bay Area, expect that. We are trying to do, once we finalize, we're gonna be, give you that information so you can at least work with the Cherokee, and Cherokee team knows. They know about all service providers, and everybody who's here right now probably is aware, and hopefully you're gonna be out there to provide those services to Afghan who are coming to our community. With that, thank you very much, and I'll turn it back to Carolina.
Thank you, Abdi. So a lot to come. I want to close just by acknowledging also some of our colleagues that are here. If I'm going to ask my team and my colleagues from Refugee Programs Bureau, if you can stand up in case you want to approach them, because we have quite a contingent here. Oh my God, my English today. Without whom we could not be up here. Migdalia, Natasha, Alicia, Griselda, Leslie, Nas, Zoraida, Najib, Christina, Jasmine, Brandon, I'm missing Anna Lee. So yeah, and I think we have Isela as well from Afghan Legal Services here. And our director at the Office of Equity, Eliana Kaimowitz, who I left last. So thank you very, very much. Please take an opportunity to connect with us if you can. And looking forward to today's discussion. Thank you.